What does it really mean to be self-reliant? To stand on your own 2 feet? Today, we're diving deep into that question with the quest for autonomy. And let me tell you, this is a journey that goes way beyond just solar panels and living in the woods. It's a powerful story about resilience, about community, and about that deep and often pretty painful search for a life that you build yourself. All right, let's get into it. At the very heart of this entire quest, it all boils down to a fundamental choice. After everything has fallen apart, after you've been hurt in the worst ways, the journey just begins with this one simple, incredibly powerful decision. You're going to keep going. You're just going to put one foot in front of the other. And that really sets the stage for everything that comes next. So let's just make sure we're all on the same page with what we're talking about here. Off-grid autonomy. Yeah, on the surface, it's this lifestyle of being totally self-sufficient. But as you're about to see, it's not just about disconnecting from the power grid. It's a whole philosophy, really. It's driven by this deep desire for real freedom, for resilience, and for a more authentic connection to how you actually live your life. So you gotta ask, what pushes someone to take such a huge leap? What makes them break away from the world that all of us know? Well, that call comes from a lot of different places. Some of them are practical, for sure, and some are born from just profound pain. For a lot of folks, the motivation is actually pretty clear, pretty practical. I mean, it's about generating your own power, right? Having your own source of food and water, which gives you this incredible peace of mind, especially in a world that feels so uncertain. It's also about pushing back, rejecting that consumerist mindset, and finding a real connection with the natural world around you. But for others, wow, the journey isn't some comfortable lifestyle choice. It's a necessity. It's born from the deepest kind of betrayal and loss. I mean, can you imagine? When the entire life you've built is just completely torn apart by the very people you trusted, sometimes the only path forward is to start over and build a brand new one from scratch. And this right here, this is the real turning point. The journey is all about what the source material calls a painful discovery of purpose. It's right there, in the middle of all that suffering, that a new path suddenly appears. It forces you to leave everything you know behind and step into this neutronic world of unknown possibilities. Okay, so how do you actually build this new path? The quest for autonomy isn't always a solo mission. A lot of the time, it means creating totally new kinds of communities and support systems from the ground up, and that takes a ton of innovation and cooperation. Now, building a community, it takes more than just good vibes. You need a blueprint. And this list, it might look like a bunch of boring legal jargon, but stick with me, because these are the creative blueprints people are using. Things like co-ops and land trusts, they help communities share resources, keep housing affordable, and protect the land for years to come. Some groups even go all the way and incorporate as their own town, which lets them write their own rules. These structures are literally the foundation for a shared, self-sufficient future. And that is the whole point. That's why that legal stuff we just saw is so important. These structures aren't just about the paperwork. They're about what the paperwork makes possible. They create the foundation for a community that doesn't just share land. It shares a real commitment to showing up and supporting each other when times get rough. But, and this is a big but, building this new world is anything but easy. The path is absolutely littered with real, incredibly difficult obstacles. Everything from bureaucratic red tape to just massive financial hurdles. Yeah, that dream of total freedom, it runs smack into a wall of rules. You can't just buy a piece of land and do whatever you want. Zoning laws might say no to the kind of home you want to build. Building codes can make it tough to use alternative materials. And get this, in some places, even collecting the rainwater that falls on your own property is regulated or banned. Navigating this web is a huge, huge challenge. So when people are faced with laws they see as unjust, some decide to push back. But the sources are really careful to draw a sharp line here. On one hand, you have civil disobedience. That's about protesting a specific law to try and improve the system while also accepting the legal consequences to make a point. On the other hand, you have the sovereign citizen movement, which is totally different. It rejects the entire legal system based on arguments that courts have time and time again said have no legal basis. And if that legal maze wasn't enough, let's talk about the money. Because wow, to be truly independent of the power grid, you have to build your own grid. And a good solar system, one that can actually power a whole home, that can easily set you back $75,000 or even more. And power is just the beginning. You also have to handle your own waste.
A modern septic system, another absolute essential for living off-grid, can tack on another $30,000 or more to the bill. We're talking serious money here.
So you add all of this up, and you get to a pretty tough reality. The romantic idea of just escaping to the woods is grounded in some very harsh finances. The sources are blunt about it. Without a significant amount of money to start with, the dream of off-grid autonomy can end up looking a lot like plain old homelessness. Which brings us to the internal part of this journey. Because you can't face all those external obstacles, the laws, the costs, the sheer hard work, without an incredible amount of inner strength and resilience. This quote, man, it just nails what that inner journey feels like. It's not some clear step-by-step plan. It's about learning to trust your intuition, that gut feeling, to guide you through absolute chaos and unpredictability. It'll lead you through a jungle, and sometimes, yeah, right into a circus. So this is what that transformation looks like when you map it out, and it is an incredible emotional arc. It starts with being forced to crumble and deal with my demons. But then, that pain and rage, it's not suppressed, it's channeled into a powerful force. And then comes this pivotal moment, a conscious choice for compassion. That act leads to a kind of deep healing, what's described as curing karma, and that's where a new purpose is finally discovered. I love this metaphor. It's so perfect. The journey isn't a race. It's about being a steady turtle. It's about slow, persistent progress. You carry your own shelter on your back. You keep moving forward with this quiet determination. You stick your neck out when you have to, and you just weather every single storm that comes your way. So after all of this, the struggle on the outside, the transformation on the inside, what's the result? What kind of legacy is forged from this unbelievable quest for autonomy? This is where the whole perspective just flips on its head. The sources describe how the deepest pains get completely reframed. They actually become a gift. Not because the hurt itself was good, of course not, but because surviving it gives you this unique, profound lens to see and truly understand the suffering of other people. And that new understanding, that empathy, it becomes a call to action. The personal quest to just survive evolves into a mission of service. Because once you've navigated that dark valley yourself, your purpose becomes about helping other people find their way through it too. And this is what it all leads to. The quest that started with a need for personal autonomy ends with a promise of universal connection. The ultimate goal isn't to be alone, but to build a world where you make sure no one else is left alone either. So we're left with this massive question, aren't we? This whole journey, which starts with a desire to be independent, ends with a vision for radical inclusivity. And it forces us to ask, after you've fought and won your own battles, what's your responsibility to everyone else? What does it truly mean to build a world where absolutely no one gets left behind?